We are in love with your title, Midlife Catalyst. What was the pivotal moment or experience that really led you to embrace this identity?
I was trying to get anywhere from midlife crisis. And don't get me wrong, there have been multiple times throughout the year that I'm like, am I in a crisis? I'm not sure. It might be. And then I'm like, no, a crisis is a bomb threat at a school. Like, I know the difference. That's why I hate the term, because you have lived long enough at this stage of life. You actually know what a crisis is, and just contemplating things is not a crisis. Wanting to change, to grow, to stop doing what you've just been taught to do is not a crisis. So what is it? Well, it's the catalyst. You can be the catalyst. It's not the time to stop. It's the time to morph into who you've always wanted to be.
Well, I love that, because we're in there. It's just a matter of pulling that self out, that new identity. Welcome to Drinks with the Girls. Conversations for women over 40 around connection, change, and the power of female friendship. Living well with stories to tell. I'm Karen, and this is Lisa.
We are moms and solopreneurs stepping into our own, diving into real conversations about things that matter to women in midlife.
We're here to spill the tea on everything that affects women in their 40s and beyond. Topics like loss and grief, changing relationships, launching kids, menopause, and reinventing ourselves in midlife. We are here to tackle it all.
Connect with us through a blend of our lived experiences, our friendship, the memory of our moms, plus a collection of real stories, honest conversations, and engaging interviews that will make women over 40 feel seen and remind them that they're not alone on this journey called life. Let's go.
Hey, welcome back to Drinks with the Girls, the podcast where we say what everyone else is thinking. We pour a drink and dive in
I like that.
to the shizzle that no one warned us about this stage of life. We are Karen and Lisa, two women in our 50s riding the wave of what's next with a little humor, a lot of heart, and zero bullshit. So, Lisa, what are you drinking today?
That. I am drinking my morning tipple of choice, which is a tizzy. Not having a tizzy. It is a tizzy. It is an Arbonne creation, and it's got a Clean Tox Detox tea in it, which is a milk thistle tea that helps with liver and all sorts of good stuff. It tastes like a chamomile. And then I have an energy fizz stick in there, which I believe is blood orange, I think is what I'm tasting. So it's like a cleaning and rev up for the morning. So I'll put the recipe in the show notes.
I'm drinking...
Yes, what are you drinking, dear?
Salted caramel coffee, but in my chicken mug.
Nice.
That my daughter made for me, with personalized with their names. And mine probably has a lot of toxins and bad stuff in it.
And you're good with it. No mushroom coffee this morning.
Not this morning.
All righty.
No. But today we are so excited because we have Amanda Younts with us. She is a consultant, trainer, podcaster, speaker, and goes by the title Midlife Catalyst, which we love. And she helps people make lasting change in their lives. So today we're talking all things midlife, and trust me, you're going to want to take notes. So welcome, Amanda. Tell us a little about yourself and then start with what you're drinking.
Thank you. I am so grateful to be here. I, as you can tell by my accent, am from Oklahoma, so I'm about 2 hours ahead of you all, which means I've already had about 3 cups of coffee, and I had to stop because I knew I was going on here.
Back away from the coffee.
Back away, have some water. I'm a huge fan of the tizzies. And
you are? Cool.
So I am drinking. I always have multiple drinks going. I have my water. I have a lime bubbly. And someone sent about 3 different people this week have sent me different things. I got sober 5 years ago, but it's my problem. It's not other people's problem, right? So I don't have a problem with when people are drinking. But so I thought I was being healthier in my sobriety, and I really got into all of the Topo Chico, soda water, all of those type of fizzy drinks. That has been a lot of my replacement. And I've gotten 3 different people sending me how toxic they are with the parabens in them. Not that they have sugar, like I have no sugar in the drinks, any of those things. So I'm just like, every vice I have is going to kill me. That's what you've
Right.
come to
Ooh,
realize.
parabens are nasty.
They're nasty. There is an outbreak, I guess, from Topo Chico right now. And I'm just like, well, I'm glad I stopped that a year ago. But I love my lime bubblies with my fizz stick. And I can give you a great recipe on mocktails that
Yes,
replace
please.
those. And then people that still want to throw rum in them.
Love my mocktails with fizzes.
And the pineapple fizz is my go-to. I am a lifelong educator. So that is really my passion in podcasting and in training and in coaching, is that even though I left education a year ago, I'm still educating people. But I'm doing it in a way that was the same way I approached education, in that it's not a spoon-fed, let me show you how to do it. It's let me give you strategies and empower you to take the learning and take the strategies and go apply it to how it fits your life. So a lot of what I do is not prescriptive. It's individualized for what the person needs.
Well, we're former educators too, so
Yes.
welcome to the recovering club.
Oh boy. And I will say, it took me until about February for my system to level out.
Yep.
I was on the superintendent's cabinet. I was executive director. So I was getting calls on Christmas, on New Year's, the job never ended. So for me to wake up and not immediately go to my phone and solve 5 crises in a morning, I didn't know how to cope.
We need to have you back and do an interview with you on, I'm totally serious, on like the toxicity of being a former educator, because let me tell you, the struggle is real, and I work in literacy and I hear it from everybody. So let's put a pin in that one, because I think that is a massive subject to dive into. But that's not what we're here to talk about today.
And it's not, but I will tell you, nothing has pissed me off more in the last year than realizing people that made twice what I was making worked 3 times less. I'm like, how do you have time to come home and sit and do this or that? I come home and respond to emails. You guys know that.
Yep.
And just realizing other people didn't live that way. So I could talk about that for hours.
Okay, back to the topic.
And that was one of the reasons, actually, that when I first was looking at your bio and everything, we have so many similarities, the 3 of us, education, disability advocacy, your psychology training, your coaching, midlife. I mean, we have so many intersections. So I think this is going to be a fun conversation today. So let's get into it. First of all, we are in love with your title, Midlife Catalyst. I'm not sure. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about where that came from, how you got that, if it's proclaimed, whatever. But what was the pivotal moment or experience that really led you to embrace this identity?
And identity is the perfect word, because this time last year, I was lost in how do I refer to myself? How do I show up? How do people see me? How do I even see myself? And so I have a handful of what I call a board of directors. And so a lot of people seem to want to give input in my life, but there are only about 3 to 4 people that I actually accept their feedback and what they have to say. And one colleague said, "You are a change agent." So I took that nugget and was like, okay, change, midlife change. That's not very catchy. But I was trying to get anywhere from midlife crisis. And don't get me wrong, there have been multiple times throughout the year that I'm like, am I in a crisis? I'm not sure. It might be. And then I'm like, no, a crisis is a bomb threat at a school. Like, I know the difference. That's why I hate the term, because you have lived long enough at this stage of life. You actually know what a crisis is, and just contemplating things is not a crisis. Wanting to change, to grow, to stop doing what you've just been taught to do is not a crisis. So what is it? Well, it's the catalyst. You can be the catalyst to stop and to grow. So that's where it came from, is just, you've got, all the things when you get into this area and field of, you've got to have the catchy phrase. You've got to get into a niche. I hate being in a box.
Yeah, same.
I feel like I have a lot of skills, especially at this point in life. I have a lot of life experiences. I obviously have a lot of opinions on a lot of things, but you do need something that people are going to be drawn to. But it can't just be a catchy thing. It's got to be something you actually live and embody. And when people that I trust are telling me, yeah, that is you, that is what you do, that is what you've done in every stage of your life, then it's stuck. It's not the time to stop. It's the time to kind of morph into who you've always wanted to be and embrace it.
I love that. Yeah, who you've always wanted to be, because you're in there. We're in there. It's just a matter of pulling that self out, that new identity.
I do, before I ever even start giving someone strategies, is diving into the identity and the identity statements, which goes back to the disability advocacy and person-centered strength spaces approaches to how we refer to other people, but ourselves. And the more empowering and the stronger the language you use, the less disability diminishing things seem to be.
Our listeners know that I am the mom of 2 kids with disabilities. And, without hijacking the conversation too much, that whole person-centered language piece is super important to me. I love that metaphor that you use it for in terms of a woman's identity in midlife, because I feel like a lot of women in midlife have 100% lost their identity. So keep riffing, because I'm loving what I'm hearing.
Well, so I'm going to continue speaking the education language of, that's a prime example I will use. And with educators that are like, well, I'm just a teacher. How many times do we get that narrative? No, you empower 150 lives a year. Who else can say that? Like, how impactful is that to give opportunity to that many people? So it's just a reframe of the language, that I'm just a mom. No, you're the CEO of a household. It's that strengths-based language of how are you showing up and getting people to understand you may not have the big title, but you are the CEO of your life. And you don't need a cabinet level position. You don't need the 6-figure job to have that and to own it, because that's really the most important thing in life. And what I hope is that it starts to sprinkle down so people, women especially, don't get to this stage of life and go, oh man, I wish I knew this 10, 15 years ago before I went down this path and I can't get out of it.
Okay, quick pause. Have we talked about the Pod Squad lately?
Oh, the Pod Squad. You mean our email list /VIP lounge /digital wine club?
Exactly. So listeners, if you're not on it yet, you're basically making life harder for yourself when it comes to podcasts.
Like trying to scroll for show notes while speed walking on a treadmill. Wait, what was that link again? Oh, no. Grab the side rails.
Or pulling up that book we mentioned while you're in the Starbucks line and then realizing everybody else moved up 3 cars and now you're that woman.
We've all been there. That's why we made the Pod Squad. You'll get new episode alerts every week with direct links. Easy to listen, easy to share.
And show notes straight to your inbox. So when we drop a life-changing product, book, hot tip, or yummy new drink, you're not rummaging through your memory like a woman searching for her reading glasses when they're on top of her head.
It's organized, it's helpful, it's for you, babes.
So join the Pod Squad. The link is in the show notes. Just tap it.
Snacks, sarcasm, solidarity.
And obviously, fighting the patriarchy.
We write at dawn.
I wish it hadn't have taken, both of my parents dying and sitting on other people's deathbeds and writing other people's obituaries for me to realize I didn't like the metrics of what mine was going to look like if I didn't change some things.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because I do something similar to you, Amanda. I am a life coach for midlife women. And I just think what we've been talking about, that identity piece, like we get to this stage in life and our identities have been so wrapped up in what we do for others. And, whether it's our job, whether it's being a parent, whether it's with our own parents, with our partner. And then we get to this stage in life and we get this like inkling, like, oh my gosh, is this it? I need something more. It's like this rumbling inside us, but we don't know what it is. We've been conditioned as women not to really look at it because we're not supposed to want more, right? We're supposed to just be happy with what we have. You should just be grateful. How dare you want more? More money, more sex, more fun, more pleasure, more anything, right? And going back to what you were talking about, the midlife crisis, I mean, I feel like it is a crisis in that our identities are shifting. Like we're going through this big, like, I keep thinking of like a rumbling or an earthquake or something like that, because it's like things are changing and we have that choice to either say, okay, I'm going to follow this and see what's happening. I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know what I want, what I need, but something has to change, or we just stay stuck. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of women do that. But I think that having conversations like this is so important for women, because I find it takes a lot of almost convincing in my work with women, like to get them to the place where they are like, okay, I'm putting myself first. Like we have to break through so many patterns and habits and things, that have cemented us for years. And then they get this courageous, curious thing and like, okay, I'm going to sign up for a free call with Karen or Amanda, right? And it's like, and then it opens up. Then it's just like, but to get them to take that first step, like what have you found helps women give themselves permission? We talk a lot about permission on this podcast, to take that first step.
Several things is permission to listen and explore. And I do a ton of journaling, but journaling isn't for everyone. And so I hate it when people, that's their one go-to, and it's like, well, no, you haven't tried it my way. No, it's let me adapt how we bring that out of you, because it's inside, that inner voice, that inner longing and calling. But it takes some experimenting, and you have to really become a student of yourself and do some self-study and be okay with exploring and failing. And that is a thing, as educators, we know. You have toddlers and you play. We encourage kids to play, explore. And by third grade, and probably even earlier, depending on where you are in your school system, we cut that off and we go immediately into grades and performance, and you can no longer deviate. And so when people say, where is this ingrained in women? Oh, it started in school and it never left us. And so getting back to that, who cares? Who cares if you sign up for a call or you sign up for a yoga class and you don't like it? Because the other thing we teach is you can't quit, especially our generation. You sign up for something, you stick it out. Well, if you don't like it, why are you doing it? It's more of you got the research and the data to show, okay, I might like this in a different way. I might like this with a different leader. It's a very competitive field, I will say. And so when you can find women or coaches who support other people that are like, that's really not my area, but I have someone that can help you. We have to be open to helping other people and knowing that there's enough for everyone, which goes into the whole of there is enough for every woman to live into whatever it is that they've been longing to do. But we're told, like you said, you should be fine with what you have. And I think when people hear we want more, they think more money, more things, more. No, it's the emotional side. It is the feelings, and it is whatever resonates to bring you happiness. And that takes that exploration to find that and to be okay that it may change. And it really can and will evolve over time. The problem is other people don't necessarily evolve with you or evolve on your same timeline. And that is the hard sell. That is where I see the stuck of, okay, how can we start? Is it necessary to have a conversation with a partner, with your child, with a friend group that you've had for 20 years? I'm a huge learning by doing. And so I feel like, well, people should just see the results and be happy for me. But sometimes you have to have the dialogue and have to have the conversation of, look, it's nothing personal to you. It's personal to me that change and growth happens. It doesn't just happen. And that is the hard part because you get so many Instagram coaches and influencers that want to sell you a quick fix. And we all want a quick fix. We all want the pill. We want the easy way out. There is no easy way to finding what lights you up.
Okay, 3 things I want to say. Number 1, I love the whole like influencer, like it reminds me, I'm trying to remember, my dad used to say this, but it was somebody else that did it. It said, all these people just want to give me drive-by advice. It's that drive-by advice.
I love that.
Drop the bomb and leave. So the second thing I want to say is the reason Karen and I were laughing when you were talking about journaling is this is like a big part of our story because she refers to me as the hardest client she's ever had to teach and empower journaling with. And so for me, that has always been something that's really difficult for me. And I continue to push myself, but I relate to that piece. And then the last piece, I'm trying to remember what the heck it was because it was a really good thing that you said. Dang it, I'm not going to remember. Okay, go ahead, Karen. Hopefully it'll come back to me.
I was just going to say, the problem with the journaling is that you're trying to force yourself.
I know. I am aware of my problems. Oh, I remembered it. Okay. So I really, see, you just talk and I remember. I don't need to journal. It's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. The piece that you talked about when you said there's enough for everybody, I freaking love that because I feel like, okay, we love to bash the patriarchy on this podcast. Don't get us wrong. We're fans of men. We each cohabitate with one. But I feel like the patriarchy is really responsible for a lot of this. You got to get yours because there's only a certain amount out there. And if you don't get yours, there won't be any left for you. And I think that feeds into the nasty kind of competition, gossipy thing that women unfortunately can fall into sometimes, which makes me insane. But I love this idea of like, chill out. You don't have to like fight over that slice of the pie. Like there is enough for everyone. That is an artificial construct created by the patriarchy to keep women in their freaking boxes. Yes, I said it. Okay, the end.
The thing that I want to talk about what you had just said, Amanda, a minute ago, is that those conversations with there's the supporting cast. If you it's hard to have those conversations to say, look, I want to make this change. And like you said, it doesn't have anything to do with you. It has everything to do with me. But I think when women can have those conversations, it sets themselves up for success. It's easier, I think, and what I tell my clients all the time is people around you are not going to like this. People around you are not necessarily going to be cheering you on because this means their life is going to change. And also they might have to look at some things within themselves. And that's hard. That's why change is so hard. Personal growth is so hard because you have to look at some things that might be hard to look at. I think having those conversations, it helps women be more successful in their growth, even though they're really hard conversations to have. I mean, I've had many of them and they're hard. They're not fun.
They're not. I think that is such the crux of my work. I mean, obviously I'm trying to make a living, but what I'm trying to do is change the narrative because we grew up, none of this was talked about. I don't even feel like menopause was appropriately represented. All you were told was hot flashes and low libido. That is not at all what is I'm experiencing all these other things coming in. I'm like, why did we not talk about the brain fog and what actually is happening? That's, again, a whole other topic. But when there are women that go first, and I experienced this in my sobriety journey, which then I carry forward, and I experienced it in my grief journey, because I can talk forever about, how we handle bereavement in this country and processing grief. So the more we talk about these topics and how all of these things have contributed to holding us back, the more other people can start to feel comfortable in having the conversations. And so that's why I'm grateful for this podcast and any podcast. We need more to reach women in any sector to feel a bit of confidence and support and just starting the conversations.
Girl, you are speaking our
Absolutely.
language. I swear.
Yeah.
I'm just like, we did an episode on that. We did an episode on that. We want to talk about that. Check, check, check.
And I think that's what is so important too, in helping women just look at, because we're conditioned from day one, and as women, and then we get to this stage in life and we start feeling these things. And I think just to bring awareness about this conditioning, is one thing. Like, one thing I do is I hate self-care. I talk about self-indulgence for women, and that triggers the hell out of them, because what do we think when we think of a self-indulgent woman? Oh, selfish, only puts her own needs first, doesn't care about anybody else, bad mom, whatever. So I try to change that narrative. And also with pleasure, I try helping women like put their own pleasure on the forefront. And that's, kind of a rebellious thing too. So I love what you're saying. Yes, we're definitely on the same page.
We're fans.
Yes.
Mutual, absolutely. Yes, I can say a lot about self-care. I, in the fall, got health and wellness certification from Harvard. I proudly wave that certificate now.
As well, you should.
Heck yeah. Wave it.
You knew.
For sure.
Self is the key word. It's not someone else's care. It's self-care. And so it's what I need to restore and replenish my wellness. And so one of the things right now, we've talked about it, I've just been in kind of house limbo this past year and traveling so much, is how much I need a bathtub in my house. And so water is a huge form of my like replenishing and recharging. I can't obviously live at the ocean. That'd be lovely if I could, but that would be a level I can't afford. But what can I afford is to find how I can replicate this in my house. I know the next house we get, I have to have a bathtub. Like, that's going to help everyone else in my household and environment for me to be daily regulated. I feel that's knowing your needs and what replenishes you when other people are like, oh my God, I hate the bath. Okay, fine. You don't need that. I do. What do you need? So that's where I get more into, it's not a prescriptive, it's understanding yourself and what you need.
It's so funny that you say that, because my boss and I were talking about this in the last trip we went on, because we are both like, need to have a hotel room with a bathtub in it. Like, that's what we need when we travel. And it's becoming harder to find them in some hotels, but like, that is both of our thing when we travel, right? And just like popping out and getting some like lavender scented Epsom salts or whatever, right? Like, I have a bathtub here, but I have kids, so good luck. Like, my teenagers are like, no, my needs. So for me, that's one of the things that I indulge in for my self-care when I'm on the road and I'm traveling. So I love that.
Hey there, I'm Lisa Corachella McDowell, your midlife Pacific Northwest princess, here to guide you in the art of next leveling your life. I'm passionate about women's health and wellness in midlife, especially for moms parenting kids with unique needs like I do. I truly believe we can learn, grow, advocate, and care for the planet while taking care of ourselves and our families. And I'd love to help you do the same. Plus, I'm beyond excited to announce the launch of my new membership, the Empowered Parent Collective, this March. It's a space for parents to confidently advocate for their kids, build inclusive communities, educate themselves, and find balance and support along the way. To find out more about the Empowered Parent Collective, my classes, wellness offerings, parenting tips, advocacy resources, and exclusive Drinks with the Girls goodies, head to nextlevellifewithlisa.com. Let's survive and thrive in the messy middle together. Cheers!
So let's talk about Autopilot for a minute. What do you think it looks like for midlife women? How do they get here? And what is the cause, do you think?
Well, I know I'm part of the cause because I'm like, well,
It's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
because I'm a huge believer in structure, routine, right? That's how you set up great habits. But when you don't reflect on why you're doing what you're doing, how what you're doing makes you feel, the intent, is it still the same intent? That's where you get on autopilot. And I will tell you, I knew I had a problem because I could not even remember driving to work. Like, those are the things when I say autopilot, I'm talking about breaking down moments in your day. And I couldn't account for it. I was like, I don't even know, because I was so exhausted. So then this was before I left my job, but I became very intentional in quiet in the car, not having a podcast or music blasting, and being present and being with myself, because it was just autopilot. And we do those things because we need to be productive, right? We need to set ourselves up for success by having things prepared and ready to go. But then you just get so embedded in the routine, and everyone gets going in all their activities and your work habits and your kids' activities and partners' activities, that you don't even know why you're doing what you're doing anymore. But it's hard to stop because those habits contribute, right, to climbing the ladder, so to speak, or looking like you have it all together. I can't tell you how many times I was told that, you're the superwoman, you can do it all, you can have it all. I don't want it all. I want, right?
Hard pass.
Hard pass. And it is much of the patriarchy. No one ever told or tells men that. No one ever tells them you can be the CEO and the great dad and have the best PTO breakfast and party. They're not aiming for that. We're in a completely different field and category of what we're judged on. And we've got to stop that.
We've talked about, it's like in the 80s where that's where you really started getting this message. Women started getting this message. You could do it all. You can have it all. You can be it all. And it's like, great. Who's going to help us do it all? Like you're saying we can do it all, but you're not sending in any troops to help. So
yeah, it's like education,
burnout and exhaustion.
Totally.
Yes. And so you become so rigid, with your life, because you have to be over every little thing to be able to do it all, that again, you don't even know why you're doing it. And I will frequently change up things. For years, I did a 5 a.m. workout class. And finally I said, I hate this. This is making me miserable. Right. And again, I'm on the damn treadmill because I'm supposed to. The shoulds, because you're maintaining a figure. I didn't even know at the time how much it was helping me mentally and emotionally, because it was so performative driven. Then when I took a step back and realized, oh, I don't need to run an 8-minute mile. A 12-minute mile is fine. And also, I don't need to be on this hamster wheel.
Literally.
How about I get outside and actually enjoy nature and get some fresh air? And so I'm still getting the same activity, I'm still being physical, still great for my body. Now I'm actually enjoying the activity. That's like breaking out of those routines that we get stuck in, and then we're miserable. So can you find joy in a different way?
I love that, like looking at the things that you're on autopilot because I have had several bolts of lightning of those. Wait, why am I doing this? Right. And I going back to another thing that you said, I assume just from what we've been talking about, and maybe it's a wrong assumption, that you were like a director of special education or so. Okay. So I was a former special educator. And so it's really interesting that you bring that piece up because it's like in education right now, to go on a bit of a tangent, it's all about like inclusion at any cost, right? But we're not going to give you more money and we're not going to give you any resources. And so we can check the box of everybody like patting themselves on the back, but we're not going to support these kids in general education. We're just going to let them sink, right? So I could get on my high horse about that one, but that's not what we're talking about today. But I think it's an apt metaphor for what we're talking about the whole you can have it all thing, right? It's the same concept. Like, yep, you can have it all. You can have the access. However, nobody stops to say, is that a good thing? Do I want to have access to everything? Because as women, we know what that means. It just means adding 50 frickin' other things to our already full plate. So yay, access. That's great. I'm dying here.
I can do a whole episode on that and the analogy of how you have to listen to your clients. You have to listen to yourself. And I had to listen to parents because I could get two parents in the same school and they would be very, open. There's a lot of negative rhetoric out there about parents and advocates. And I think
true.
We've got to learn how to work with them and let's work together and have open conversation. So I've got a parent who's absolutely inclusion at all costs and another who's like, I understand they want that. Here's what I want for my kid. So what we did is we took the individual out of IEP in trying to do the inclusion rather than actually looking at designing a program for a student and what meets that student's needs. And it's the exact same thing with designing your life and designing the women you work with, your coaching clients, the people you empower, designing their life, because it's not a one size fits all. Let's get back to the individual and what fills them up and what their strengths are and what they're looking for out of life. And it's not going to look the same.
So you literally just described the business model and the mission statement of the membership that I have that's called the Empowered Parent Collective, because that again, off on a tangent, but that advocacy piece, right? And listeners know I started it because I have sat at every single seat on that IEP table. And so I feel like I'm in a really unique position to help people be their own advocate, to stop this whole us against them thing, to get people to be able to advocate for their kids, but, and call districts on their BS when they're slinging it, but at the same time, make it be about finding solutions for that individual child. So I'm not going to hijack the conversation, but I just love that you spontaneously brought that up because I'm like, yes, this is why I do what I do.
It transcends across the board. It's the same thing with life, and you've got to do what works for you. I dive a lot into strengths and personality types, and it's so critical in knowing and studying yourself and not just trying to adapt a life because it looks good for someone else. It could be making you miserable. And we get into jobs because we were told that was a great career or you're good at this. Well, yes, I am good, but it's destroying my soul. So is there something?
I'm good at destroying my soul. Therefore, I will put this on infinite repeat. That makes complete sense.
Can I not have some level of happiness and joy and even fulfillment, which is the shift for me of, instead of putting out fires and solving other people's problems, can I empower people with the tools and resources to learn to solve their own problems? That's where we get a lot further along in society.
I want to ask you about this life audit piece. That's really interesting to me. Can you say a little bit more about that? Because I know that's something that you talk about when women kind of like stop being unconscious and then look at their lives. I would imagine that's kind of what you're talking about, but tell us more. I think that's really interesting.
We start small. That's a huge piece of everything I believe in, is you don't audit the whole thing at once. So let's start with a nightstand audit, a pantry audit, a refrigerator audit, an audit of your day. What does your day even look like? And the reason I like that so much is because you start to identify the things that are on autopilot, but maybe habits and routines you needed when your kids were small, you don't need those anymore. Why are we still doing them? Again, we could make the analogy to education all the time. We don't ever give things up. We keep adding on, but what can we take away? What has over time the systems improved, or there are things, technology's improved, that we don't have to do anymore? So stepping back and just asking ourselves, why am I doing this? How does it make me feel? What will happen if I stop? So you kind of, and if there are financial ramifications, you've got to know that and you've got to plan for it. And then what can I do instead? What would I rather be doing? What would I rather have in this time or in my pantry? What I could do for physical activity if I'm hating the treadmill. I know I still want to do physical activity, but this isn't it. So auditing, could I incorporate activity as I'm outside in my garden, and then I bring in my grandkids, and so they're seeing the benefit of getting your hands dirty, but also being outdoors, getting off your device. All of these things, I just think it's so critical to actually gather those data points on yourself. And what are the themes? What are the patterns that keep coming up? And then making the changes there. So basically everything I need to know, I learned, I say this all the time, in working with 7th graders, because, it's the same life skills that adults need. What can I do to replace the pot of coffee I drink in the morning? Well, I'm going to have a tizzy instead.
Talk a little bit, Amanda, about the mindset that goes along with this. We've talked, a lot about like changing behaviors and doing different things, but talk about like some of the limiting beliefs that you come up against that really kind of keep women stuck, or a mindset that women need to have in order to make some kind of change in their life.
Like I said, you cannot be afraid to fail. I feel like the only fail is staying stuck and not trying. Anything that doesn't work, I've learned from every experience and opportunity I've had. So if I can take that as an opportunity to grow or to do better or know what I don't want, meet new people, then I'm going to do that. The shoulds and the coulds, and I've been filled with them for years. It's also amazing to me at times. I didn't realize that maybe not everyone had this inner critic, people, an exercise of naming your inner critic. I didn't realize other people didn't necessarily have that voice that was the loudest voice for me for a long time in their life. And then I'm like, oh, wow, you're not having those doubts. You're not having that person tapping you on the shoulder. Gathering everything you've done to this point to show why that person is a liar. And the more you can take steps and get into action and do something, the weaker that inner critic and those shoulds get. Because it's like, no, look what I have done. Not should. I did do this. I can do this. Because I did this, I know I trust myself enough.
My name is Karen Shatafian, and I am a shameless coffee addict and empowerment coach for women, and my love language is authenticity. My mission is helping women unapologetically design a life they're in love with. Because what the hell are we waiting for? My website, KarenChatafian.com, has all my coaching packages and free offers like my midlife reclamation guide. In it, you'll find tools to help you decide how to create the most inspired and empowered version of yourself and your life. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram talking about ways women can show up for themselves after decades of showing up for everyone else. Join me as we throw off the shackles and live our best freaking lives. See the show notes for all the details. Cheers.
I hope people don't have to go through hard things, but I think hard things are part of life, right? We all have to experience a loss, a disappointing job, a job loss. We all have to experience it. It is part of life. How do you handle it and then use it to grow stronger rather than holding you back and destroying you? Because it's really two choices to move forward.
I want to go back to the shoulding for a little bit, right? Because I've heard that expression, stop shoulding all over yourself, which I totally love because, of course, the double entendre is fantastic. So I don't know if I have a question about it. I'm just loving that you're bringing that up because I am a complete victim, as Karen knows, of shoulding all over myself constantly.
And, you know, for me, it finally got to the point of, well, I should be this. I should have this role. I should have this job. And I would get these roles. So, okay, fine. I'm going to go get them. And I hated them. So why was I doing that? Why was the shoulds continuing when it wasn't bringing me the power that it said it would? For me, I learned the shoulding on myself in one of my sobriety meetings. And so I will say this. I don't think everyone needs to be physically sober. I think more people need to be emotionally sober. And there's a vast difference. People are kind of turned off by that terminology, but it's the emotional regulation. Again, we weren't taught this with our generation, right? You internalize it, you stuff it down, you don't talk about it, and you don't process emotions. We have gotten a lot better in working with students and trying to teach those regulation skills and coping skills. But it's all part of sobriety. I'm like, geez, I had to have the crisis or get to 40 to realize, oh, here's how we should be handling and processing things and quieting and taming that inner critic and the shoulds.
I didn't know that there are women that do not have that inner critic.
They're serial killers, but they're out there.
Right. Yes.
They're pathological, but they exist.
And maybe the better way for me to say this is you can appear that you have it all together, that you are the superwoman, but that inner critic is still there and maybe taking over stronger than the person next to you who doesn't appear to have it all together, but isn't drowning in the shoulds. And so when I share that, then women are like, oh my gosh, you look like you have it all together all the time. What do you mean? And I had really good friends once I started podcasting and writing about the anxiety and some of the things I experienced. And they were like, we would have never known this. You never show that. You never present that way. And it's the masks. It's constantly performing for other people and hiding it so you appear to have it all together rather than saying, I don't. Here's how I cope. I do struggle with anxiety. I tell people this all the time now. They're really bad, but the reason my nails are painted is not for a social norm or to look cute or trendy. It's because I have been a terrible cuticle biter from the time I was 5 years old. And this is the only thing, because believe me, we tried all sorts of things that actually keeps me when I have a gel on them, which again is probably going to kill me because it's something in the chemicals. But
same disease.
Yeah, that keeps me from gnawing on them. And so it's a coping strategy. It's not a fashion trend.
But I think you're right. I think starting to have these types of conversations and starting to talk about the things that we've always just kept, in the shadows is a way that we can affect change. And, like you've talked about, earlier, it's like, some of us have to go first, and some of us have to, be the ones to just kind of be vulnerable and just start it and just do it and put it out there. And then it gives other women permission to kind of go, oh, shit, well, if she's dealing with that, then, it's okay for me to talk about X over here. So yeah, I think that's why this our podcast and that's been like our main goal, is just to give women a forum to just talk about the things that we don't talk about
and be in community with that as well.
And that is so key, is finding the right community. And that is another thing we're ingrained in, is you're a part of this book club, or you've been friends with someone for years that may no longer support the habits or the change you're making, or that may actually have been making you miserable all along. And that's why you had to have 3 drinks before you went to the book club. So let's back up while we're doing this.
Hang on.
Problem under the problem here. But when we open our mouths, I will say probably the greatest joy I have gotten in the past year of doing my podcast is the women and the people I would have never known and never come in contact or community with, that because I will talk about this, or they will talk about this, or have me on their show, that's where the support has come in. It's not been the support of the person, your next door neighbor, or your best friend since 5th grade. It's being open to new people. So you might be surprised when you're open and receptive and put yourself out there, of who your cheerleader and your support is going to come from.
Such a good point.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm. So we always like to leave our listeners with some takeaways, getting ready to wrap it up here. But what are some things that you want to make sure that women walk away from this episode with?
I say this all the time. I love AI. AI can do a lot for us, but it cannot write your life story. And so also, AI works better the more specific and individual you can prompt it, right? The more, so it's for you. You have to know yourself in order to design your life and take charge and be the CEO. Don't leave it up to AI or someone else to write your story. Your obituary has not been published yet. So let's start writing that together, because we love backwards design, right? What do you want the end to look like? Don't get that to the end and go, oh man, I wish I'd done that. Let's start planning backwards in how we can design a life that when we get there, we're like, man, I gave it everything I could, and I enjoyed the ride, not the big things, because no one's going to talk about that or write about it. It's the small joys. Start small and do it well. Any step of action is better than inaction.
Love it.
Absolutely. We were just talking about this the other day, how even the little steps. We had a guest on, Sue Willoughby. She does Equus coaching, and she calls them turtle steps. And so Lisa and I were just commenting how we love that, because even the little turtle steps, even the tiny steps, they're still steps.
Yeah, and turtles are purposeful, right? Like when you talk about baby steps, it just seems like, oh, cute little like novice kind of steps. But I like reframing that as, I may be slow, but I am deliberate in the steps that I'm taking, and they are all leading to forward progress. So I'm like, I'm going to start calling them that. I love that.
I love that.
Amanda, how can our listeners find you? I know you have some things that are coming up. So talk to us about what you got cooking, and we'll put all this in the show notes, but just give us the highlights about the best ways to get a hold of you, to work with you, and what you got coming on.
So I am Midlife Catalyst, really across all social media platforms. You can find me that way. My website, midlifecatalyst.net, can get you anywhere. and in touch with me to book a consultation. The podcast is in summer break. We are gearing up for season 2 and what that's going to look like. So new episodes will be coming out in July, but a lot of recording right now.
What's it called?
Midlife Catalyst.
Oh, okay. Duh.
Across all platforms on YouTube. And then I am working on, like I said, I am wrapping up this season of tons of presentations and workshops and looking forward to having a little bit of downtime to get back into writing. I'm working on finishing a book. I publish on Substack weekly articles, but the full book has been a marathon. So working on that, and then really just the catalyst checklist. And people are going to freak out because it's like 15 steps. But it's 15 steps because I break it down into every way to help people be successful, as opposed to, it's just a 3-step model, when really it's every micro habit you have to develop to get to any form of change.
It's your turtle steps.
It is. Now I'm like, oh, yes, absolutely. We have to have that, because otherwise it's very overwhelming to people, I think, when you don't break it down.
It's good you give that disclaimer up front. Like, you are going to be overwhelmed at first. It's okay. That's
Remain
part
calm.
of the process.
Yes.
Right. And also, I think by the time we get to our 40s and 50s, we have so many things that are set in stone that it takes more than just 2 or 3 steps to really kind of unwind from a lot of things.
And I think that's where the overwhelm sets in, right? It's just like, midlife women get overwhelmed about making a change. They get overwhelmed about who they are in life. They get overwhelmed about like, oh, is it time for my dreams to end? Like all of that, because it is such a lot to unwind. So I like this, again, turtle steps analogy and your catalyst checklist about like, okay, you don't have to do it all at once. Let's just uncover the onion one bit at a time.
So where can listeners find the checklist? On your website?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. The website is the best way to find everything, from Substack to podcast to coaching sessions and the checklist, and just connecting with me for a consultation.
And you're on all the socials and everything, Midlife Catalyst. Okay, cool. Perfect. I'll put that in the show notes for sure. Awesome. Well, listeners, I hope you found this as valuable as Karen and I have. I think we're so aligned in so many of the things that we do and kind of what we want to help women with. So it has just been such a treat to have you on here for sure.
I've loved it.
You know the drill. Like, share, comment, subscribe. We've got a YouTube channel now with all the things.
Listeners, if you found yourself nodding along or thinking, wow, I really needed to hear this conversation today, I think we did our job, but we just want to remind you, you are not alone. And you're definitely not done yet. So come hang out with us on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. We'll link it all in the show notes. And make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss whatever juicy thing we have planned that's coming next. And if you love this combo, send it to your bestie. And definitely leave us a 5-star review. We love that. Or just message us and say, hell yes. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.